US tour is coming to an end. Last stop, New York City, the Bronx, and the home of the New York Yankees, rebuilt in 2009. The setting, and Liverpool want to win the very last game of this US tour. And look, there's even silverware up for grabs if they are to come out winners here tonight. Setting is perfect. Liverpool taking on Sporting this evening here in New York. The whole match live right here on LFCTV and LFCTV GO. Very warm welcome to the Western Union Cup, and former Liverpool teammates Patrick Berger and Jason McAteer join us for this. Just a word of warning, if you are staying up slightly later than usual for this, there is a slight delay in kickoff. Going to kick off at 8:15 this game between Liverpool and Sporting tonight, because we are in New York City and nothing moves quickly. Traffic certainly doesn't. It's been quite a journey to get here, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, it took us about an hour. I mean, if you walk, you can be here in 20 minutes from the hotel, but it took us an hour. But it was an interesting journey, to go through the Bronx. You can see some interesting characters, along the way. So, yeah, it was good. It was a good journey.
How have you found it so far, Jace?
It's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. Firstly, to be involved with the club in this capacity is an absolute honour. Secondly, to spend time, obviously, with the lads and with yourselves, and be amongst the fans and just see how it's growing. The football club and the sport in general in this part of the world has been fascinating from all different aspects. I mean, Notre Dame, I think each leg of the trip has had its own identity, really. Notre Dame was brilliant because it was quiet, no students. We got to see the university, and obviously the team play there in that stadium was amazing. Then obviously into Boston, historical Fenway Park, get to play there as well, was an honour to go there and watch them play. And then to come to New York, which has got so much history built around the city, and then to come to the Yankees and watch the lads play. It's just been an amazing trip, and I'm gutted it's coming to an end. Actually, it's back to the grind tomorrow. Kids and wife.
There's been lots of commercial activity for the team to take part in, but you've all been together. You've had a great laugh of a night, haven't you? Jamie Webster's been one of the highlights. Fans all over the US getting the chance to join in the sing-song, and you were joining in the sing-song as well.
I mean, I never met him before. This is the first time I met him. And I fell in love with him. Ever since I saw singing him, in Notre Dame for the first time. I mean, he can puts up, fantastic show. He's a great singer. He's a great lad, down to earth, and it's been great to have him around. I mean, he's a special lad and a great singer.
It's funny, isn't it? Because with the success of the football club and the way we're going and the way we're moving, there's all these little side plots and side stories, and Jamie Webster is just one of them. There's always been football songs and anthems and, related personally to different players, which is great. But it kind of, this day and age, they've taken on a world of their own now. We could actually put an album out, I think, Jamie, about all the players, and it'll get to #1. I mean, they're so infectious, aren't they, the songs? But to see the fans relate to that, I mean, we had 2,500 in Boston. There was a few hundred there last night in Carragher's bar, and everyone knows the words, everyone's involved. It just brings that feel-good factor to what's going on, and it's all down to the success Jurgen and the lads are putting in place.
It's been life-changing for people to see, and we talk about Jamie, but to feel part of this culture, because being in Liverpool, we take it for granted sometimes, don't we? We can go to the games and see them play. Some of these people in their 40s and 50s never seen Liverpool in the flesh before, so to feel part of it's massive for them.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, the fan base in America is very, very big. Someone told me yesterday that there is 42 supporters club in US, and this is, I think, from House of Blue in Boston. And it took me 2 days to. No, it's not. It's from New York last night. I just wanted to say that the night in Boston took me 2 days to recover. So it was a tough night, but we had a great night last night as well. And it's always special to to meet the Liverpool fans all around the world. When we played in Boston, there was 2 guys from Miami. They drove from Miami to Boston 24 hours, just to get to the game and watch the last 2 play. So, I mean, you can see that, there are fans from all over the world, and they're coming to the games from all over the US.
I think, as you know, Pete, I mean, the game has moved on. I mean, we were talking about it the other day. We dropped into Dublin, and then we dropped into Scandinavia, mostly Norway, to play, wasn't it? And it was all geared around the football, which is right. But you know, this day and age, there's a commercial aspect to what goes on with a football club, all football clubs, and it's important that you reach all corners of the globe. I mean, very successful in Asia. We've been to Australia on tour as well, haven't we? We were here last year. You know, this part of the world, as we mentioned a couple of times in our shows, you know, soccer's not the biggest, it's not the biggest sport here. You know, you've got to compete with baseball, American football, basketball and ice hockey, and it's very difficult to break into that market and sell tickets and bring your product here. But Liverpool, as European champions, we come here, we've seen the attendances grow because of that. And also, you need to become accessible to the fans. You know, they've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. They've been to the hospitals, they've been to different activations that the club have put on. We've done a lot as well with the fans, and from a commercial point of view, I think it's been extremely productive, and it has to be like that, because you know, when you're competing against Chelsea, Manchester City, you've got to bring revenue into a football club to help compete, because ultimately it goes on the players that goes on the pitch. And as we know, Liverpool now are competing for 90 players who are going to cost 100 million, and you need to get that revenue from somewhere.
What has been an education, Jurgen Klopp mentioned it earlier on in the week, you know, when they become Liverpool players, they have to learn about the culture. With the ladies being part of it as well, they're part of that education. You were at Ground Zero today as well. I know that was quite an emotional trip for you all. Really emotional. As you know, I'm quite an emotional person anyway, and you know, there were so many, again, side stories to what went on. I mean, you know, we all know where we were on that day, and I don't think you realise the enormity of the disaster until you actually go and see the museum and Ground Zero, and you know, the little side stories about the first responders I read about today was just absolutely heartbreaking, but the enormity, you actually grasp it when you're there. I mean, it's still hard to take in and, you know, picture, but it was something I wanted to do. You know, the club went there in the aspect of the women went to pay their respects, but I just felt that, you know, I wanted to go there and do that myself, and a couple of the back team staff come as well. It's great that the women went, laid a wreath there, and it was important that we did that, really.
I was there. I was not there today, but I was there a couple of months ago, and it is amazing and a sad place, you know, at the same time. So you know, it's if someone is in New York, you know, that's definitely the place that you should visit.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Okay, you can see this game live, as you've been able to see all the pre-season games right here on LFCTV and LFCTV GO. For details of how you subscribe, there's still 3 more to go, of course, as we go to Edinburgh, we go to Geneva as well, and we'll be there every step of the way in the lead up to that Charity Shield, or the Community Shield as it's known now. And I wonder whether that might be the start of his season. It's part of our poll today as well, because we're asking which of the games you're most looking forward to. Will it be the Charity Shield, the Community Shield, when they kick the season off domestically against Manchester City, or is it the UEFA Super Cup? You can get involved in that on our Twitter poll right throughout the show for today. I do wonder whether Jurgen Klopp is thinking that way as well. The season starts when we take on Manchester City. Will that be taken as seriously as the fans are wanting to take it at this stage of the season, do you think?
I think he'll get serious a little bit before then. You know, pre-season, as we look at from a football point of view, it's been probably really productive from a fitness side of things. But you know, 2 defeats on the bounce is probably a bitter taste. That I think he really could have gone either way with Borussia Dortmund. I don't think he would have really worried about that. With Sevilla, I think he would have wanted that victory, start getting that mentality back, that winning mentality. It didn't turn out that way. I was extremely disappointed with the Sevilla team, the way they went about things. Extremely disappointed with their manager and some of the players. You know, I mean, we called it a challenge. It wasn't even a challenge on young Yasser Larouci. It was a disgusting kick out at him, and it just marred the evening, really. But tonight he'd be looking definitely for a positive result. Sporting Lisbon yet to win on their tour. No wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat. You know, it's a real opportunity. The weather's perfect, pitch looks perfect. There's no real excuses now to try and get that victory over the line.
Team just arriving, just in case you're just tuning into us, this game will be delayed by 15 minutes tonight. 8:15 the kickoff here in New York, and the pitch, as Jason mentioned, is quite an interesting one, because legally it is as small as it can be. You will notice that as well when the players probably take any set plays a little bit later. The distance between the corner flag and the edge of the 18-yard box is not that far at all, so should make for quite an interesting encounter for tonight. So the team arriving slightly later, but Mark Benstead has got the manager Jurgen Klopp with him.
Jurgen, ahead of the game, disappointing news about Nathaniel Klein. How big a blow is that to the group and also your planning for the new season?
Oh, yeah, it's a blower. It's a blower, probably blower. But first and foremost for Kleiny himself, of course. It's of all. I had my ACL injury myself in my career, and he was at least in parts of it lucky because it's really isolated. It looks like isolated ACL, so that's the quickest of all how you can recover. But of course, it will need time. But nothing will be worse than before, I would say. Let me say it like this, and that's the good news. But of course, we have to, how it always is, we have to deal with these situations. That's what we do. First and foremost, it's for the player always a big problem, of course.
Sepp van den Berg is available tonight. Can we expect to see him, and if we do, what will we get from him?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the last second we heard that he's available. So he's now. We put him on the sheet, of course. But we have 24 players here. Thank God, I think they're all available in the moment, and that's good. So we'll see how we do it. 24 cannot play, but probably we give him a few minutes that he have to, from today on, a proper LFC player, and maybe we can manage that he can play a couple of minutes.
Results not the most important thing in pre-season, but is it important to get that winning feeling back tonight?
Yeah. Look, how he said it, we played all the games out of full training, not in the last 2 days because we traveled, couldn't train here in New York. It's quite a big city. We had a long walk, but couldn't train. And now we played on tonight, and we should not get used to lose games, which game ever. So let's try to strike back. That's the plan, and a lot of things, of course, will come back, that's clear, but you have to force it by yourself a little bit. If you push yourself, that's what we tried tonight, and then we have to see how it works and talk about it after the game.
Thanks, Jurgen.
Welcome.
Yeah, big blow during the week, and we talked about the Sevilla game, but the one before that, of course, Nathaniel Klein sustaining that injury, which was heartbreaking for him because he didn't really know where his future lay, whether it was here or somewhere else, and it leaves Liverpool short now, doesn't it, in that position for the upcoming season?
Yeah, obviously Joe Gomez could play there, James Milner can slot in, but if you want real competition for Trent Alexander-Arnold, it was Nathaniel Klein. We didn't quite know where his future was going to lie. Once the season sort of started panning out, whether he wanted to spend time on the bench, because you would suggest Trent Alexander-Arnold would start the season, and it probably would down to him. But from a personal point of view, it couldn't have come at a worse time for a great lad who's putting it in pre-season. It's a terrible time to get an injury of that magnitude, really. I feel for him, and if he's watching, I hope he gets a speedy recovery.
I was talking to one of the physios last night, Paddy, and he was saying he had to go and see Nathaniel and just say to him, listen, the ACL injuries aren't what they were 10 years ago, where it would sometimes end players' career. They can get back very quickly from them now, relatively speaking.
Well, I had 2 ACL operations through my career, and it's not really what you want as a football player, but it happens. It's part of the game, and if everything goes well, the operation, the rehabilitation. Obviously he will have the best physios, probably in the world. So I think he can be back in a couple of months, 6-7 months. If he's lucky, he can be back on the pitch.
You were back really quick, weren't you?
First time I was back in 6 months.
Wow.
But I was 20 years old. So when you're younger, I guess that you healing quicker than when you get a little bit older. But I think if everything goes well for him, then I think he can be back on the pitch in 6 to 7 months.
You know what he's like, Jason. He hates losing games, Jurgen Klopp, and he was saying the other day, wasn't he, even in pre-season, that feeling of losing games is still awful. So he will be desperate to get that set right tonight.
Losing can become a habit as much as winning can. And we're in a really good place at the minute, confidence, coming off the back of the Champions League final season that we had. He won't want to lose 3 in the spin. Just the nature of being a professional, you won't want to do that, but the players won't either. In all honesty, it's been difficult for the players because you are missing that front 3. You're missing Alisson, you've got Shaqiri missing as well. Kite is missing, so there's some big players missing in this squad. There's a lot of younger players. He's mixed and matched the teams. They're gaining experience, having not played in front of crowds like this. So, there's all side stories and subplots to the performances. Overall, I would suggest the performances have been okay. They've been okay. Going forward, probably better than defending. I think defending, they need to switch on a bit more, concentrate a bit more. You know, that's been the downside for me. The goals that they've let in mostly have been their own fault, rather than being carved up and the other team creating of anything of any note. But yeah, he'll want to put it right tonight, and he'll want a victory.
Let's just take a look quickly, Paddy, at the team and confirm that for you tonight as well, because you'll notice that it's fairly close to maybe what might start the season, certainly from back to front anyway. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Matip, Van Dijk and Robertson across the back four, Milner, Fabinho and Henderson, and then slightly more advanced roles than they're used to for Gini Wijnaldum and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Divock Origi will spearhead the attack. This game is delayed until 8:15 local time for tonight. So team's getting stronger, Paddy, with each game that passes.
Well, I mean, we were talking about it today, and we were saying that, you know, I mean, the boys have lost 2 games in a row, and you could see that when James Milner was talking after the game in Boston, you know, he was not really happy about the result. There were also other things that he was not happy about, but you know, especially the result. I mean, to lose 2 games in a row as a football player, even if it's a pre-season, you just don't like to lose, you know. So we were talking about today that you know, this is the game where Jurgen Klopp is probably going to use the strongest starting 11 he can use at the moment, and you know, we saw the starting 11, and that proves that, you know, they're really going to go for the win.
You'd asked me about when he was going to get serious. There you go.
Here we go. Yeah,
you can't get stronger than that.
No.
That's a statement. That's you go out and win this game now. I'm picking the strongest team. You got to do a job, and as I said, Sporting, you know, they're not having the best of times. They've got a couple of players who want to get away. Fernandez wants to get away. Yeah, this is a right opportunity for them. They started the game really, really well against Sevilla, and maybe should have scored in that first 15 minutes, but they didn't. But this team tonight, you just feel it's got a bit of everything about it, and it should get them over the line. I could see them playing an hour, then making maybe quite a few changes. But then again, the weather's perfect tonight. Yeah. You couldn't get any better for a game of football tonight.
Sepp van der Berg's kit was put out in the changing room before. His international clearance has come through, so we're told that he will play some kind of part tonight. And in a strong lineup, if he gets the chance maybe to play alongside Virgil van Dijk later on, it will be a dream come true for him. Is this a good environment for him to get his first minutes under his belt for Liverpool, Paddy?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I would love to play in this environment, you know, my first game for Liverpool, and I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I think, you know, we'll see what the result is, you know, how the game goes, but it would be fantastic for him, you know, to play his first game for Liverpool over here on such a stadium and on such an occasion.
What do you make of that more advanced role for Gini and for Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain as well, in support of the striker in that top 3?
Well, obviously it's a weak area at the minute, isn't it? Because we're missing, you know, 4 really big attacking players. So yeah, they get their opportunity there. Looks like it is a 4-3-3. We've seen him last season change it up, didn't we, formation-wise? But he's gone 4-3-3 today. I'd like to see Oxlade-Chamberlain get on the ball a bit more. I think, you know, since the Trammy and the Bradford game, he's kind of, you know, the step up in quality, he's kind of drifted out of games a little bit too easily. You feel Liverpool with that team are going to have a lot more possession, create a lot more chances, and in that respect you would expect Oxlade-Chamberlain to be on the ball a lot more.
Some of the pictures of the fans making their way to the stadium in slightly cooler conditions than the ones of the last couple of days, and being in New York City as well, you do wonder about the culture of being a professional footballer. They can't really go anywhere in Europe now, can they, for a cup of coffee? They were wandering around New York, being stopped for the occasional autograph here and there, but that must be quite nice for them as well, to be relatively unknown in this corner of the world.
Yeah, I can imagine that, you know, if they go somewhere in Europe, you know, they can't even go anywhere, because they will get a big hassle, you know, from the fans. But over here, I mean, as Jason mentioned, you know, soccer is probably the you know, the last sport in the line, and not many Americans basically follow soccer. And I think they went for the little walk, you know, through the city. Some of the guys went for dinner last night, and you know, I mean, it's great for them that, you know, they can go anywhere and basically nobody recognized them. You know, I think they did enjoy that.
Notre Dame, for me, was that place. I mean, they were just wandering the streets, weren't they? We walked into Starbucks and, you know, Simon Mignolet's just sitting off, innit? Just on his computer having a coffee. I think they do enjoy it. I mean, now, you know, it's so difficult for them to go out because of social media and other avenues as well. It's just very, very difficult. Even around New York, slightly more. It's easier because of this part of the world, slightly more anonymous. But you know, there's lots of Liverpool fans here who have travelled over and made a bit of a holiday from the Boston and the New York aspect of things, which is great. But yeah, I think a few of them went out this morning. They went for a walk, didn't they? A bit of shopping yesterday. So it's good that they can let their hair down, because once they get back into Europe, as Paddy said, they literally can't go anywhere.
Lots of expensive bags making their way back to the UK for the players' suitcases as well, to keep themselves in the good books when they return home. Been some brilliant stories that have come out this pre-season as well. One of them happened at Prenton Park. Young Dan Atherton, the goalkeeper, who ended up coming on as a striker. He's been downstairs talking to Mark Benstead.
Dan, it was away with the academy last summer, away with the first team this summer. What's been the biggest challenge making that adjustment?
I think it's just a lot more on top of you over there. It's like you can't over there. It's more relaxed, and with the 23s and stuff like that, the academy, it's a lot more relaxed than it is over there. It's more, you're sort of expected to do everything for yourself and make sure that everything's top notch, and your professionalism and all of it just sort of comes together. Everything that you try and get taught at the academy. So I think the hardest thing is just making sure that you're on top of everything 24/7. There's no breaks or anything like that.
How much of a benefit has it been spending this time with the first team day in, day out?
I think the experience of just being over there is fantastic, especially being a Liverpool fan. Just being able to be in and around the first team and some of the lads, they're all top lads, and they really make you feel welcome. I think that's one of the hardest things, like making, for me anyway, because I'm such a big fan, it's making sure that I feel like I should be here, and hopefully I'm proving that I should be. And yeah, it's just good to be around it, and you can feel yourself improving just being in and around the professional environment.
You mentioned you're a fan, you know how big the club is, but when you come on something like this, does it open your eyes again a bit more and say, wow, this is a huge thing I'm part of? Yeah,
you just sort of have like these little moments every so often, like just it's not on your mind constantly, but every so often you just have, like, you stop and you think, I'm with the first team here. I'm with people I've cried watching TV over here. I was talking to a couple of lads about it the other day, and they were just like, how great it feels just to be able to say that I'm away with such a big club.
What was it like when you got thrown on up front?
It was my first ever dream come true. Obviously, being an outfielder when I was younger, it was like I've always wanted to play up front for Liverpool. I was dying to score. That's been biggest dream ever, to score a goal for Liverpool. And when the manager said, it was mentioned by the commentators saying that he's probably asked to go on, I did, but I was just making a little joke, and the gaffer went, well, you best go and get a kit on. I was thinking, all right. I think it was, to be fair, going on the first game against Tranmere, I was a lot more relaxed than I was going on against Bradford, because I was thinking, in Bradford, that's my position, I've got to do well here. Against Tranmere, it was like, if I do something wrong, no one's expecting me to do anything special here, so it was a bit more light-hearted, and just go out and enjoy myself, really.
Great stuff. We'll see if you get out there tonight.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
He's a great lad. He listed one of his ambitions to play the guitar with Jamie Webster. Maybe you'll get the chance to play it with him and also Alisson when he returns. But obviously been a dream come true for him. Just to have this experience, whatever happens next in his career, will be priceless, won't it?
By the way, he's not a bad centre forward either, is he? I mean, he done well, great touch, and they always want to play out the keepers, don't they? Even in training, they want to play in the five-a-sides, don't they? But yeah, I mean, him and all the youngsters, it's a real progression on the learning curve. You know, when they come on tour, just to be around professionals like James Milner, Jordan Henderson, to see how it works. You know, I feel like a lot's been lost since reserve team football has gone from football. You know, the 18s and the 23s. I think you learn a lot more when there was a reserve team league. There's only so much up to that level of 23 it can teach you. And, you know, when they get on this level, you know, they're dealing with, to handle emotions, playing in front of crowds of 40, 50,000, which they wouldn't have done. And like I said, be around the top players in training as well. You learn so much from that.
Does it help as well, Paddy, that there's a good group of young players as well? They're not going through this experience on their own. There's a few of their mates here as well.
Yeah, it's always great if you have someone at your same age, especially if you're young and, you know, you're going with the first team. I mean, you know, you have someone to lean on. You know, you have someone we can have a laugh. It's a little bit different if you're 18 and you want to joke with someone who has 2 kids and it's 32. You know, yeah. So no, it is great for them. I mean, you know, it's as Jason said, it's a learning curve for them. It's fantastic for them to be here, and you know, they know that you know, they come here for the pre-season with the first team for a reason. You know, they have been doing something well last season when they played for the youth team, and you know, that's why they're here. So they're knocking on the door, and I mean, it's fantastic for them.
Do you know what I love about them is, like, when they see you, they come over and they high-five you, or they ask how you are or what's going on and stuff.
And they don't even know who we are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You walk away, you say, who's he?
Call me Jamie Redknapp. What the
You didn't correct him though, did you?
No, but I love that. I love that because, you know, when we were growing up, we were always told to respect the older players, and it was demanded in the dressing room that you respect them. I mean, you couldn't give them any stick, couldn't do anything, because they'd slap you down, and, you know, it was a real tough school when we were growing up. So we were very respectful towards our elders, the players above us. You know, I'd see Ronnie Whelan, if he was doing this now, I'd come over and say hi to him, and, you know, and I like the fact that they do that to us. Like Paddy said, whether they really know us is another thing, but the fact that they give you that time, it's a nice thing to have, really, in this day and age of footballers.
Those traditions are back as well. On the victory parade you saw on the bus, the coaching staff were sending the young players for their beers downstairs, so they still have that respect that they did as they were told. Let's take a look back at the last game, and we talked about it in dispatches, didn't we? The Sevilla game that was slightly more, well, animated, you might say, than previous pre-season games. Let's take a look at some of the key moments from that. And obviously, Jason, the tackles were flying in from a very early stage. You wonder whether something might have been said in the dressing room just before kick-off.
Yeah, they started quite aggressively, didn't they?
I mean, their number 10 was quite crazy right from the start, you know, and he got a yellow card early, and I thought he was going to be sent off, but you know, it was on the edge right from the start, right? I mean,
I was disappointed the referee didn't make a stance early doors. There was a moment, 10 or 15 minutes in, and it was a missed time tackle. One of their players went to ground, and next thing, they're all around the referee and they're in his face and being really aggressive. What he's got to do there, I'm trying to tell him how to do his job. Instead of branching a card, you just push them all away. You get the manager over, or you get the captain over. You say, listen, there's no more of that. Otherwise, I'm going to start dishing yellow cards out.
So refereed it like a proper competitive game.
He should have treated it like, once it went like that, that's it. You got to set the precedent. And I don't think he was strong enough, and that gave them the emphasis then to maybe lunge at players. You know, there was a moment when Harry Wilson took an elbow when he was, you know, he could have easily let the ball just run out of play, but he decided to put his elbow in his face. There was that. And then the tackle on young Yasser Larouci was just an absolute disgrace. Disgraceful tackle.
There's a conversation going on here now with the match officials tonight. Let's make sure it's nice and friendly.
People, you want that competitiveness in a pre-season friendly, of course you do, but that wasn't competitive. That was just,
I mean, it was basically to hurt people, you know. I mean, competitiveness, it's a little bit different. This was like, you know, let's go at them right from the start, and, you know, whatever happens, happens. I mean, some of the tackles were, I mean, for the friendly game, even in friendly games you have tackles, but I mean, this is just, I mean, I mean, you don't really see that many red cards in the friendlies, you know. I can't remember one, to be honest with you, and this was just horrendous.
I mean, Liverpool players did so well not to overreact to that. They could have had something completely different.
I mean, he can apologise 1,000 times, you know, after the game, but I mean, this is just not, this shouldn't happen in football game, you know.
He's got away with it because his leg was actually in the air. If it was planted, it'd been a standing foot, would have broke his leg. Would have broke his leg, could have done his ACL, MCL, you could have done anything from that position when you weight bearing on your leg. He's lucky he had his leg in the air, and we believe it's quite severe bone bruising, so in some respects, well, he's got away with it. But saying that, it was a disgusting tackle, one that, do you know, one that should, as a fellow professional, you should respect each other. That was just horrendous. You know, if it was a late timed lunge, you know, you can hold your hand up and go, you know, he was over the top there, but he literally just launched him. And
he wanted to hurt him, you know. He didn't even, I mean, the ball was away. I mean, there was no intention whatsoever from him, you know, to get the ball. I mean, he was just frustrating, and just, you know, the intention was just, you know, to hurt him as much as he could, you know. That's at least my view, you know, from the tackle. I mean, it was disgusting.
Young Yasser Larouci as well is a big part of this squad now, and had a really big impact, didn't he, in the games that he played in. So you would like to think when he's fit again, he'll get the chance to stay around Melwood for a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's quite funny, really, because I've talked to Steve Hunter about it. I'm a big Adam Lewis fan. Obviously, he plays left side, left back. He's been pushed into midfield to give Larouci that opportunity to play left back. I'm slightly in favour if Robertson was to come out the team for one reason or another. I feel Adam Lewis is quite capable to step into that position. He could do a good enough job. I think he's got the experience over Larouci to do that. But the manager seems to be pushing him further forward into that midfield area and giving Larouci his opportunity. And I've got to be honest, when he's played, he's actually took it. Yeah. So I don't know whether the manager's got one eye in mind that he might be the player that could slot in to put pressure on Robertson. We'll have to wait and see.
Let's take a look at some of the goals that we've conceded on this pre-season US tour as well, because we mentioned before, Paddy, that he hates losing games. Some of these goals that we conceded would rankle with him as well, I think, the manager.
I mean, you know, most of the goals we have conceded was because we made mistakes. You know, it was not like they overplayed the defense, but, you know, lack of concentration, you know, tiredness, you know, I mean, easy goals, very easy goals.
Uncharacteristic. You know, we're the best defence in Europe, I think we were last season, weren't we? You know, and then they've been sloppy, as Paddy said. Not really down to anything where the opposition has carved us up or created anything of brilliance.
This was a great finish, by the way. I mean, you know, this.
Yeah, he was quick.
I mean, I think he's a young lad as well, you know, from Sevilla team, and I mean, you know, give him a credit. You know, that was a great finish.
But we were done by one ball over the top. Yeah. There was a moment in the game, Borussia Dortmund and Hummels played an unbelievable ball with the outside of his right foot, just bent 140 yards. They were in. I think Götze was in. Mignolet pulled a great save out. You know, just uncharacteristic opportunities we've given to the opposition. Young Larouci as well. And I said it in commentary, sometimes you have to make them mistakes never to make them again. One of the goals, he kind of tried to dribble out of the box and got caught, and they gave him the opportunity to create a chance and they scored from it. You know, sometimes you need them moments to think to yourself as a player, personally, I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to put my foot through it, or I'm going to do so. I won't dribble in these areas. So that's a learning curve that he's learned then. But very sloppy goals, and I'm sure the manager, well, basically the first team back four are playing tonight, aren't they? So he's trying to address that, I think.
And you wonder whether, I mean, you know, both of you, do sometimes the conditions have a part to play in that as well, that concentration and just the mental fatigue as well as the physical fatigue.
Of course. I mean, listen, it's a pre-season, so you know you would rather make mistakes like this in the pre-season, you know, than when the season starts. So I mean, it happens. It's in football. You know, the boys are training every day. You know, in the difficult conditions. So as I said, you know, lack of concentration, fatigue, tiredness. You know, that all plays the part. And you know, they can only learn from it. And don't forget, you know, every single game, you know, they played with a different back four so far. So I think, you know, first time today, you know, they play with the strongest back four.
It's a great point Paddy's just made there, because, you know, when you're not seeing them playing, they're actually running, they're actually doing lots of weights. You know, when we play pre-season, we play aching. You're actually aching when you're playing. You're not going on there 100% fit, ready to go. You're actually sore from the day before, the running you've done, the weight session you might have done. There's still that fatigue in there from the previous games. So, you know, it's a tough period. It's a tough period. And mentally, you know, it can cause you to switch off in games, and, you know, we could put some of the opportunities given down to that. The heat has played its part as well. But like I said tonight, I expect a really much improved performance, strong performance, and a victory. Pitch is great, weather's great. There is no real excuses, to be honest.
Really strong team that Jurgen Klopp has picked tonight. This game will kick off now at 8:15 local time. A slight delay in Liverpool getting to the stadium. It's been busy in New York, as it always is during the day today. Players actually given a few hours off. No better city in the world probably to enjoy that than in New York. What about the fans in and around the ground? How much are they enjoying it? We've been out and about with some of them.
Yes, New York is red, and we are here in the Bronx about to go into Yankee Stadium for the final stop on Liverpool's US tour. And these fine fans, they've been to all 3 games. First of all, why? What's made you travel around the United States of America following Liverpool?
Oh my God, die-hard fans. Texas all the way up to Indiana, to Boston, down to New York, all for the Reds.
And tell me about some of the fun experiences you've had, Notre Dame and Boston.
Oh, absolutely. You know, just seeing the coastline, having fresh fish, watching the boys play here, seeing Millie Fabinho warming up right next to us, getting to talk to him, getting a what's up from Brewster. It's pretty awesome.
You got to talk to them? What did you get to say?
Oh, just tell them how much we appreciate him, you know? It's really nice getting to see him. You never see him in person.
Yeah.
Now it's a strong starting 11 today. How do you think the boys are going to do?
fairly happy. I'm confident. I know we didn't get the first two, but this one, I know we're getting a win. I know, like you said, with Milner out there and Virgil holding the back line strong, I'm confident. And that Brewster goal we saw in Boston was, you can't forget that. Yeah, you can't forget that.
PK was the best part, absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a warm New York welcome for the Reds tonight. Back to you, Pete.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Joanne Keir, our reporter, there out and about with the Liverpool fans. Let's take a look at the Sporting team that will play tonight. Jason talking through a few of the players that might play a part in this. Sebastian Coates we saw walking out there just before. Thiago Ilori you will recognise in the side there, playing at right fullback after making that move from Reading, another former Liverpool player. And Fernandes is the one that they're all talking about, Jason.
Yeah, there's a talk about a possible move on the cards, and they're not quite sure whether he's going to stay, but they have brought a couple of players in. Neto and Vieto have come in this season for them. Like I said, it's not gone well. Pre-season, 3 defeats, 2 of them draws. Sorry, three games without victory, 2 draws and 1 defeat. But you know, they'll pose Liverpool problems. They've got some quality players. Again, like Sevilla, they'll be technically very, very good. You know, they like to keep the ball, pass it around. They'll be patient, and if they get the opportunity, they can punish you.
They also have a bit of a reputation for being direct and physical as well. We'll see how that works out. They've also got Bas Dost on the bench there, wearing number 28. You'll notice 23 goals for him last year. Bruno Fernandes with 32, so certainly a goal threat in the side. And there you can see with the number 4 shirt on, Sebastian Coates amongst the substitutes. No Rafa Camacho by the looks of things either. You do wonder about the modern day transfer. Sometimes written into those contracts is that the player leaving one club doesn't play for the club if they're on loan, but perhaps he's been stopped from playing against his former team. You'd always love that opportunity there, wouldn't you, to play against your old team and then maybe prove that you should have been in the side before.
But I don't understand. I think, you know, if the player is on loan, okay, I can understand that. But if you sell a player, I mean, you know, you sell a player because you don't want him. You don't really count on him anymore. So, you know, let's play him. You know, let him play. I don't know if that's the case. If
he might be injured, we don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, if they sold him, you know, it would be stupid not to let him play against his former team. That's just my opinion. You know.
You can understand if it was a Premier League game and it was the next fixture, or like Paddy said, I mean, pre-season, there's no real excuse of why they should want him not to play. I don't really get it. I'd be very surprised if that is the case. I'd be more inclined to think he maybe have a knock, or he's carrying a slight injury and he's not fit really.
Where the wide players are concerned for Liverpool as well, we've seen a lot of Harry Wilson, we've seen a lot of Ryan Kent throughout the summer pre-season games. Have they done anything to maybe force their way into the thoughts of Jurgen Klopp, do you think?
Not start. Very difficult situation for the two of them, because they both went out on loan last season, played big parts in their success of Rangers and for Derby. You know, Harry almost getting to the playoff final. Ryan Kent's having a really good, productive year with Steven Gerrard up at Rangers. I think he scored against Celtic as well. You know, so they'll love that day-to-day involvement with the first team, and then looking forward to playing week in, week out. I mean, it's a tough schedule in them divisions. You play 3 games a week most of the time. They would have loved that first time in their careers that they got to do that. It's whether the pair of them now come back from a personal level and think, do I want to try and break into this Liverpool team? Can I break into this Liverpool team? You know, do I want to spend time on the bench? What, you know, for them, it's down to them. But I think the manager possibly would like to keep them.
Yeah, but they both very young, you know, and don't forget, the boys just won the Champions League and they made 97 points in the Premier League, so they're not going to just walk in the team. You know, they have to be patient, you know, they have to work hard, and, you know, I mean, the boys are going to play, you know, for 7 trophies this season, so there is going to be a lot of games. They can be suspensions, injuries, so, you know, if they're patient and if they work hard, you know, their chance can come, you know, during the season.
But the problem they have is, will they spend a long period of time in the team? That's what your ultimate goal's got to be. I mean, Harry Wilson's 22, isn't he? You know, so, you know, yeah, I agree with Paddy. there's going to be opportunities. Of course there are. League Cup, possibly FA Cup. There's a lot of football to be played. You've got suspensions and injuries. You're going to have to rest players. But we've got one of the most formidable front lines in European football. You know, the manager can get them 3 on the pitch every week. He's going to want to do that. So is anyone really going to displace one of them? No. Is Harry Wilson going to do it? No. Ryan Kent? No. So the manager, from a recruitment point of view this season, it's not been that busy. He'll probably want to keep them to keep his squad bolstered. But from a personal point of view, if it was me, I'd maybe want to look at it and think, from a professional, personal point of view, I'd probably want to go and play elsewhere and play week in, week out, because at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're footballers, and that's what we try and do. That's what we aim to do, isn't it? You know, for me, I lost my position under Gerard Houllier. I had an international career to think about. I wasn't in the team. It broke my heart to leave, but I wanted to play. We wanted to play every week. And sometimes it breaks your heart and you've got to do the right thing for yourself, and that's leave. And sadly, that's what I did. But I got to play every week, and that's ultimately what you want to do as a footballer.
Yeah, but sometimes you can feel from the manager that you're not part of the team. You can feel it. So you better go. You better make the decision and say, I can feel that, you know, I am not really in his plans. So it's better for me if I'll move and I'll go somewhere else and I'll play every week. But if they feel that, you know, they are wanted here by the manager, by Jurgen Klopp, you know, maybe they can say to themselves, well, you know, I'll give it a try. You know, I'll give it a try for half a year or for the whole season, and then if I don't going to break through, then after that, you know, I know that this is the time for me to go somewhere else.
But at 18 and 19, you know, for Bruce, the likes of Brewster, Adam Lewis, yeah, 100%, you know. But at 22, 23,
he's proved he's almost too good for the Championship, hasn't he?
I'm not so sure. Yeah, I'm not so sure. It's a real difficult one. Possibly one might stay. You know, it's the manager's call. It's the player's call. It's something we're not privy to. I'm only talking from my. If it was me in that situation, I'd probably want to leave.
Okay, should we get outside again, see how much the fans are enjoying this occasion? Much cooler temperatures than the ones that you saw in Boston and in Notre Dame. A lot cooler, and the players will be really grateful for that, as will the fans.
Thanks, Pete. Well, what a time to be a Liverpool fan, coming off the back, of course, of winning in Europe. And here we are with a couple of New York Liverpool fans. Guys, what do you think we can achieve this year?
I think this is our year. I think we're going to win the Premier League, take down Man City, and I think another Champions League win.
And who has impressed you so far this pre-season that you think might do well in the coming matches?
Well, we know we have a star front three, but that fourth guy to really come in and score a few extra goals, perhaps Ryan Brewster. Great penalty in his last game, upper corner, wanted the ball. We're excited for him to come in next year.
Excellent. And what do you think about the game tonight? Thoughts, predictions?
It's going to be a great match. I'm going to go with 6-0. The Oxman's going to put in 3, and I think we'll see about the rest.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, he has been doing well recently. Well, of course, we are at the Yankee Stadium. The Yankees, the most successful sports team in all of America. So it's a fitting place for the European champions to kick off.
Thank you, Joe. Joe Anke out and about with the fans. Of course, this is the only place to watch the pre-season games this season, right here on LFCTV and LFCTV GO. If you want details of how to subscribe, they're coming across your screen now. LiverpoolFC.com for the final 3 games, including this one tonight, which kicks off at the slightly later time of 8:15 local time as well. We were also asking for your opinions on what the big start of the season, or certainly the games that you are looking forward to this campaign. Is it the FA Community Shield, or is it the Super Cup that takes place over in Istanbul? The result of that poll is overwhelmingly in favour of the UEFA Super Cup. 66% of you saying that is the game to talk about. And of course, with the link to Istanbul, I think people want to go back there and see how much it's changed since 2005. But also the very serious part of all of this, Paddy, is if they win the Community Shield, they win the Super Cup, you know, they could have 3 trophies before Christmas, couldn't they?
Yeah, you know, they're going to play for 7 trophies this season. No, 8. I mean, this is the 8.
This is up for grabs tonight
as well,
8. Yeah.
So they're going to play for 8 trophies. But obviously, you know, you don't get a chance as a player. I never had a chance to play for 7 trophies. You know, so it is amazing. You know, the boys know that you know, if they play well, it can happen. You know, they can win 7 trophies. I mean, it can happen, right? But Charity Shield, Super Cup, and the World Championship of the clubs, you know, 3 trophies before the end of the year, before Christmas. It is fantastic. I mean, even before they start the Premier League, you know, they can have 2 trophies already. And obviously, you know, with the Champions League win last season, you know, the boys are hungry, you know, for more success, and they can start the success, you know, even before the Premier League starts.
How does that breed that confidence, though? You were part of that brilliant treble-winning season. In fact, you won 5 trophies in that calendar year, didn't you? What is the feeling when you go from game to game, and like you say, you've got this chance to continually get silverware?
I mean, we had, you know, we won the first trophy in 2001. It was the League Cup. It was in February, and when we won that cup, you know, we were like, I mean, you know, let's play game by game, and then maybe, you know, we will have a chance in the other 2 competitions that we were in, which was basically FA Cup and the UEFA Cup. And then, you know, both finals we played in the period of 3-4 days. And when we won the FA Cup, you know, we were like, you know, oh my God, you know, it happened. But you get the feeling that you are more hungry for success. So basically, when we flew to Dortmund, you know, for the UEFA Cup final, you know, we were so high in the confidence, you know, that we believed that, you know, I mean, there is no other way than that we're gonna, you know, bring the cup back to Liverpool, and that's what we did.
Historic season as it was, players just making their way in. This game kicks off at 8:15 tonight, and Liverpool coming towards the end of this US tour. This is the final game in New York, and we all fly home tonight. Then he gets a day to prepare them for the game in Edinburgh. Then they play in Geneva. He's a big believer, isn't he, Paddy, in this week in Evian being huge for them now. No commercial appointments to keep. It's just him. It's just his players there for 6 days preparing for a new season.
I think in the ideal world, I believe that any manager would rather go somewhere in Europe, you know, for 10 days, 2 weeks, and be at one spot, you know, and so, you know, the players will have the base, you know, in one place, and then from there maybe they would go somewhere, you know, to play the friendly games. But you know, it is what it is, and you know, I'm sure that, you know, they all looking forward to go to Evian, and as the manager said, you know, that's where the real work, you know, is going to start for them.
The work last year, and you'll get to see it on LFCTV because we're going with them as well, the work that they got through last summer obviously performed the basis for the great season they had. Training twice a day, very hot temperatures, the manager saying he needed a little bit more. You just wonder what that message will be when he's got all of his squad back together again. What do you think he'll say to them about what this season might hold and what they'll need to do?
Well, I mean, obviously he will probably tell them, you know, I mean, last season was absolutely amazing. Premier League, 97 points. They won the Champions League, but he's going to say to the boys, like, you know, that's a history. You know, I mean, that was last season, and now we have a new season ahead of us, and he knows that, you know, there is the quality in the squad, and he's probably going to say to them, you know, we play for 7 trophies, and if we do everything right as we did last season, you know, there is no reason why we couldn't go for every single one of them.
Sadio Mane is back on the 5th of August, which, as you know, comes after the Charity Shield. How big a concern will it be that he's not had that front 3 available? He'll have them in Evian, or 2 of the 3 he'll have in Evian, plus Alisson back in the squad again. But them not being part of this week, this 10 days, how much of a concern will that be to him?
I mean, obviously, you know, if you're going to miss one of the top, you know, one of the front 3 players, then it's difficult to replace them. Obviously, they have been unbelievable for the last 2 seasons. But on the other hand, you know, Sadio Mane had 13 months season. You know, he played an unbelievable amount of games, and he needs his rest. And then, you know, Jurgen knows that, you know, if he would brought him earlier, maybe he would help them, you know, to win the Charity Shield. But you know, in the future, in the season, maybe he will be tired, and you know, he wouldn't be as fresh as he would be if he gets his 3 weeks off. So I think it's very important for him, you know, to get the rest, you know, physically and mentally.
We're at the Yankee Stadium tonight. There's a trophy up for grabs as well, the Western Union Cup. Could Liverpool be taking more silverware back to Merseyside tonight? They take on Sporting, and the whole game is next here on LFCTV.